savoir que ceux qui nous observent de loin sont inquiets. J'ai vu et entendu et écouté plusieurs des dirigeants d'autres planètes qui sont très inquiets parce qu'ils s'interrogent sur la voie que l'Union européenne va poursuivre.
Hey, what's up? How's it going? So this short video you've just seen, 18 seconds, this guy, many of you don't know who he is, in case you're from the States or a different country that's outside of Europe. As you know, Europe, the European Union, is like a federal state. Europe is like the USA or Russia, which are federal states, with the exception that, in Russia and the USA, you speak only one language, on one official language, and anywhere you go, it's only one language. The European Union has several countries which are not independent anymore. So it's just like the illusion of being independent with different languages. That makes things a lot more complicated to search for a job and to emigrate and stuff, which is really easier to do in the USA or Russia or Canada. Well, Canada has like 2 languages, English and French, and they don't get along anyway. So yeah, this is Juncker, Jean-Claude Juncker, President of the European Union Commission, in 2016 at the European Parliament in Brussels. And pretty much, I mean, you've seen the subtitles. He speaks in French, but the subtitles are in English, and he states, "You should know that those who observe us from afar," this is mighty amazing, this is super ultra mega interesting, "from mighty afar are concerned." Who are those who observe us? They observe us, the Europeans, from afar, and they're concerned, right? And then he states something that, he is a politician. He is the president. He was the president of the European Union Commission, so I'm guessing he knows what he's saying, right? I have met and listened to several leaders of other planets. And he actually states, when he speaks in French, he says the word planète, which is planets in English. He has met, and therefore he went to different planets. Now we're going to speak about what a planet really is, because the indoctrinated population, the people who actually are part of your family environment and stuff like that, and your neighbors and your colleagues and your sentimental boyfriend, girlfriend stuff, everybody has this indoctrination. But then he states something more, saying they are very worried, these people who see us from afar, because they ask questions about the path the European Union will pursue, right? So of course, what's a planet in the end? Usually people, and let's just minimize this, people, when you speak about planets, they like to see this, right? So this is what the average mortal on the street, doesn't matter what language he speaks or what country he lives, this is a planet. The first thing that comes to your mind is the indoctrination that you have thanks to television and everything you see in the entertainment industry. Even though Hollywood has made really good movies like the trilogy Divergent, if you haven't seen the movies Divergent, Insurgent, and Allegiant, those movies stay the truth. And in those movies, you can actually understand who are those who see us from afar and they control us. It's mighty amazing, right? Once you know all these things. But anyway, this is the indoctrination that for many, I don't care if you live on a globe spinning in space, which is just 3D computer graphics, CGI. It's up to you, really. But then again, I see more logical in this thing, right? In an infinite plane. And then on that plane, this place we call Earth is just a tiny dot. Just like they say with space, but outer space is this. You get out of the dome and the ice wall, and you have lots of ice, and then you have oceans with different lands, different continents in brackets, although they're not continents because it's just like more water or less water, which makes for more land or less land. And then you go to other places and you have more ice and more water and other lands and other craters, the crater Earth, crater flat Earth. The problem is, even flat earthers, they do not wish to escape from the typical indoctrination. They just wish to go with the same idea of the typical flat Earth story, which is usually, and they don't like to combine different knowledge. I'm just showing you different graphics so you can understand. So again, the known world where we live, with Antarctica, which is just like the beginning of what's the ice and the ice wall, and then you just go over the ice several thousands of miles or kilometers, and then you get to a different ocean with a different sun, the sun being just a reflection of something which we do not understand. And then you go to different craters, and that's something that, the different worlds, and the people and the aliens, right? I mean, for us who live in this experiment here, people or humanoids or humans or even reptilians, right? I mean, we are half human, half mammal, right? Because the monkeys are our cousins, because we have the same DNA, because we are genetically engineered. That's something everybody knows. So we are like mammal humans. Therefore, you can have reptiloid humans, and you can have fish humans like the mermaids, the tritons. You can have other type of insectoids or something, right? You can have humans like us, or like more powerful, and on different continents. And of course, I know this here is just like copy and paste. I'm not saying this is a reality. I'm just giving you a bit of an insight or some clues so you can understand. The same way that NASA gives us this all the time, I'm trying to reflect different knowledge, right? And in this, for example, you have different craters separated by ice, and it's a plane which goes on forever. Nobody knows. And then you have different worlds, and maybe each world has its dome. And then for the people here, for example, for them, this is their Earth, and we are the aliens, right? It's fascinating. And then we have this thing with the moon map, which is something that many people do not understand, because the indoctrination, again, it's lots of indoctrination, and people don't usually want to explore beyond the limitations of their neurons. When you speak about the moon map, we're not referring to the actual moon we see on the sky, but we refer to the moon map we have online, courtesy of public information by the Apollo missions and the missions from NASA and stuff. And then here we have the oceans, right? I mean, this could actually be the known universe, and we are just a tiny dot somewhere in one of these oceans. I'm not saying we are Sulpicius Gallus or anything else. Anything is possible. Like I said, we are just a tiny dot, because like the thing you see here with black color, these would be the oceans, because even on the moon map, these are called oceans. Therefore, they're oceans with water. And then there are lots of craters, and each one of those craters, like for example, this crater here, or this here, and there's bigger craters, and each crater has its own environment and humanity and stuff. And just imagine, so this would be the universe. And the Apollo missions, they're not actually going to any planets in space, in 3D space. They're just going up in the sky, and then they go horizontally outside of the crater, and that's how they explored the different places, and that's how we have the moon map, right? But that's something that the big majority of people would never accept. And then I'm just like, what you can do is, for example, in your family environment, especially if you're from the, it doesn't matter like if this video is in French. If it's in French, even better, right? If you're like from the French Canadian part or from France. But if you're like from an English speaking country, you have the subtitles in English. So just like, try it with your, I don't know, work colleagues, family members, boyfriend, girlfriend, your dog, even if you're, I'm just kidding, but anyway. And let me see their reaction, right? Because people usually, they just, you speak about these things and they just say, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist, you're just a lunatic, you're like in your basement and you're antisocial and stuff. Or Christians, they would never accept this thing because they just go with their indoctrination about the kingdom of heaven and stuff, etc. Or atheists would just go with their academic, like we know everything because that's what NASA told us, right? And just show them this short 18. You can show them just, that's why I've put the video at the beginning and the end of this big video on YouTube, so you can just show them that part if in case you don't like my face or something. And yeah, when Juncker says, and this was the president, this is just like the president of Russia or the United States, because Europe is a federal state. Even though people don't want to accept it, there is no such thing as France or Germany or Spain or Italy. There is, but from a political perspective, the European Union is just like a federal state. The only exception is that there's like 24 or something languages, 20 plus languages. And that's the bad part as well, because the States and Russia, you'll have one language. It doesn't matter where you go. It's much easier, right? In Europe, you go outside of the regional, because every country would be a regional administration, and you have to speak the language of the other regional administration, right? That sucks in many ways. But yeah, when he says, I have met and listened to several leaders. He says dirigeants in French, leaders of other planets, and he states the word planet with his own mouth. That's why. So you see how everything makes sense. Now you watch this interview, which is short, then you watch the movie Divergent and the second part, which is Insurgent and Allegiant, a very awesome movie made after the books, and other movies in Hollywood, and you can actually understand that all the truth is being given to us in plain sight, in your face, like they even shock it in your face, and people still keep on being sheeple and indoctrinated, and they do not wish to understand. The big majority of people, they just go through life with their boredom and depression, and they're ultra depressed all the time, and that's humanity for you and me. So yeah, fortunately, hopefully you you understand my message here, and if you don't, I don't care. It's just I mean, if this is not something to say wow, like this is awesome and stuff, it's not just like this is actual a video, it's not a conspiracy website, it's not somebody who has their opinion. This happened in the most powerful country in the world, which is the European Union, because all the other countries, to be honest, and what's going to happen in the future, in the 21st century, there's going to be a African Union of countries, there's going to be an Asian Union of countries, there's going to be an Arab Union of countries, there's going to be a Latin American or Spanish speaking countries union in South America, and there's going to be a North American Union, which is going to be the United States, Canada, and Mexico. That's going to be one union, right? So the European Union is the model. That's why Juncker is stating, because the leaders from the other planets, probably they're like our creators, they're our gods, so to say, right? They want to know, they're concerned, he says here, they are concerned, just a moment, they are very worried because they ask questions about the path the European Union will pursue. Why? Because the European Union is the model to follow in this crater, flat earth if you want to call it, of the known world that we know so far. And we're not allowed to explore other places because the planes and the ships that go and take us as tourists, they have certain paths, and you're not allowed to go to explore beyond the limitations which are imposed by law by the United Nations of this crater earth. See how everything is so simple? Hopefully it's not. If you have any like troubles and stuff, just watch this interview over and over again, or just watch this video like several times, and you're probably gonna understand. For me, it's like second nature right now. It's like so easy to understand, and thank goodness that English is the world language, and it's so easy to communicate. And even though you're from a different country, if you speak a bit of English, you can understand this whole point. So once you know all this, you say, well, what can I do? Nothing really. It's just like knowledge for your own well-being, at least intellectually. But for me, it's like one of the best things ever, because like knowledge, for me, knowledge is power, and also knowledge is empowerment. True knowledge makes you a free human being, even though we live as experiments, as genetically engineered experiments in this known world that we call crater Earth. But for the big majority of people, they're just globes in space, or the typical flat Earth for Christians indoctrinated. So anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video.
Savoir que ceux qui nous observent de loin sont inquiets. J'ai vu et entendu et écouté plusieurs des dirigeants d'autres planètes, ils sont très inquiets parce qu'ils s'interrogent sur la voie que l'Union européenne va poursuivre.